Hi there, this is a new video for the new Nuc box. I've taken all the customer feedback and we've modified the Nuc box, and the basic new features are we've increased the strength by about 50%, and we've also made it slightly larger and longer to allow the frames to go in easier. Now I'll just talk a little bit about the components for you that aren't familiar with the Nuc box. We've got the vents that get pushed through the ends here. For ventilation, you can have up to 5 vents. You can have 2 in the rear, 2 on the sides, and 1 in the front. And if you really want to, you can drill holes and put more in if you really feel like ventilation is required. We've got the entrance discs, which have got 3 areas. One is closed, one is a bee entrance, and basically the bees can go through, but they will find it very difficult to come back out of the hive. So if in the middle of the day you want to close the hive off and take it away, you can just put it around to this position. 90% of the bees will go back in and won't be able to get back out, and then you can pick up your box and go. And the other entrance, just a standard entrance. It comes with the little pip on the top, and the idea is to take the pip off, you put this into the box, you put the pip round it inside the box and push it through, and it clips into place. One of the other improvements we've made is making that clipping feature a lot stronger. We've also now got a rotating queen excluder, and I'll show you how this works in the next video. We've got the Velcro dots, which get placed at the top of the lid here, here and here, and that just is a closing mechanism to hold the lid closed securely. And we've got a stapler, which if you're using the boxes commercially, or if you're selling the boxes to people, hobbyists and so forth, that are going to put them in their car, and you want to be 100% sure that no bees are going to escape, then it's probably worthwhile just putting a couple of staples in and making sure there's no bee gaps for bees to escape from. When you're assembling the hives, the only other tool you may need is potentially a knife, which I'll show you, and that's when you're putting in this excluder. You may need a knife just to help you cut the indents out. Okay. So with the new Nuc boxes, the major changes we've made, you can fit 4 frames in, plus a 55mm wide internal feeder, and there's a little bit of room left. Alternatively, you can use 5 frames in there, and the benefit is that with 5 frames we've given you enough room to move the frame sideways for inspection, because if you're selling these as a Nuc to a customer, you really want to be able to protect the queen. So you want to make sure that you can pull these frames apart, pull the frame out, and show that there's a queen in there before you sell it to a customer. So it's really important you don't roll the bees. And overwinter, if you overwinter them, which you can, then you want to make sure that the frames are easy to remove. If you go from needing a feeder, or if you go from just having frames to needing a feeder, you can insert a feeder easily. On the note of wintering, I have seam sealed all the edges of the Nuc now. I'll show you on this here. This is an unfolded one. And what we've done is we've seam sealed all the edges around here. So what we've done is effectively create a still air gap in the top of the hive, which should assist with the insulation and stop the bee feed being used so quickly. Right, the other new feature with the Nuc box is these now have the ability, there's these little white bits that come in the box, and they can the idea is that they slot in here on the front and the rear. What you do is you pull them down so they're sitting, so it creates a flat surface across the bottom. Now the purpose of that is a few people made comments about the boxes being too easy to tip over in the windy weather. Well, these tie them together and will stop that happening. Now if you're using frames only in the Nucs, it is possible with this new design to potentially put 6 frames in, but it is a squeeze, it's not recommended, but it is possible. So if you wanted to put extra feed in there, you can do so. The way I recommend using them is with 5 frames or 4 frames and an internal feeder, and that way if you're selling them and giving them to customers, you've given them not only a Nuc, but you've given them something to make their own splits in, and a way to manage their hives. the Nucs come in packs of 25, and if you could order in 25 packs, that would be great. It makes life a lot simpler. We can break them down and sell them individually, but it's not our preference, as they can get damaged during freight. Right, I'm going to demonstrate how you make the Nuc. We've got the two sides here, and it's pretty obvious which one's the top and which one's the bottom now. We've got printing on them. So I always flip around and make the lid first, which is this area here. It just makes it a lot simpler. So you just flick in those corners, flip that around, and there you go, there's the lid. Then flip it around and fold in the two sides like that. Put the left hand side over the top of the right hand side one. Fold them in, and then chuck that flap in there. Now the biggest trick to this is making sure that when you're doing the next bit, fold this over here. The biggest trick with these is making sure that there is a clear slot there where you can see through, and all the slots are aligned. And all you do is you get your inside tab and push that through. Making sure that these tabs here aren't folded up, they're folded down. Push that through, and then that there pushes down and through, and then it's secured. Get this tab here, fold that up, that secures the handle in place, and then these ones here fold round into the inside, and that will keep the side secure. Also note that this here has to be pushed through. Usually you push that through from the top, and this little tab here stops this from the ends from moving in and out. You do exactly the same for the other end. In, both sides round. Now you can see that that's not pushed in properly, the tab at the bottom there isn't pushed in, you've got a gap here. So all you have to do is line that tab and then push it through, and then all this here should seal off. So now you've got the basic box manufactured. At this point, if you're going to use it commercially, I really recommend that you push the ends out and make sure they're parallel, the ends are parallel. Pull them down and staple them. I will put two staples on the side, and a staple on the ends. And you're really guaranteeing that you're not going to have any issues, and you can also load the boxes up quite heavily without having any issues. Right, so now you're stapled. The next thing you do is get your Velcro. Just put right on the corner there, and then up on the corner at the top there. Put one on each side of the lid. Right, now you've got your closing. And grab the entrance disc. Now the entrance disc just goes through, and there is a little indent, there's a little hole at the bottom here, which these little tabs at the end here indent into, and that just assists with the positioning of it. I always put this through here, so you sit there, and you've got the little tab going through from the back, position it through, and make sure that that clicks into place. So now that's fastened. You can now turn the dial. Generally I turn the dial with my Hive tool. It's just a bit easier. As far as ventilation goes, I always use the bottom vent, just because I'm overwintering mine and I don't have overheating issues. So I punch this out, and the vent goes in from behind and goes in through. And just make sure when you put this in, there's some little arms, little tags that come out. Make sure that those little tags are sitting on top of the material and holding that in very fastly. So, frame. So now your frame should just drop in. It shouldn't be any issues with it falling or touching the vent like the old design used to. The new feature on the Nuc box is we've got a queen excluder, rotating queen excluder area here. Now this, we haven't pre-punched them out. This will need to be done by the beekeeper. We've got all these segments here and they just push out, and some of them aren't as easy as others. So in that case you might need to have a knife and you just need to make a quick nick and just cut through the little tabs that hold them on. Now I've prepared one here earlier, I'm dying to say that, and here's the queen excluder. It's got a little tab, it's got a little fastener in. You need to click the fastener off, and then this has got a tab on it, 2 tabs, and that slots in to here. So it slots in to there, and you just need to make sure once you've slotted it in that is pushed, the circle is, the middle core is pushed into the core of the box. And then push your clip on, and that's it. You now have a rotating excluder. So as you can see, excluding, not excluding, it's as simple as that. Now the idea behind this is that you can make splits incredibly quickly and easily. So when you're going through your hive and you're taking honey off or whatever, however you're doing it, and you're taking honey off and you're going through and you're making up your new hives, what this does, it gives you the possibility, I'll use these ones over here, to leave them on top of your hive as shown. So I'm not sure whether you can see or not, but these tabs here fit just over the side of a standard box. And when the flaps here are pulled down, it creates a complete seal to put on top of your hive. Now with the rotating queen excluder underneath, you've effectively added a box on with an excluder. Now the beauty is you get your, when you're making these up, you would have them sitting beside you. You've got your parent hive over here, you're pulling your frames of capped brood out. Now this is a slightly different operation than the original one I was just talking about. This is for making up queenless, these would be queenless hives in here, the queen would remain down below in this particular situation. So you'd be pulling up your day-old brood or your capped brood, depending on how you're doing it, and you can just shake the bees off and then put them into the Nuc box and chuck them in. So you put all your capped brood, or your brood in here, and what that does is then, when you open the excluder up, you put this on top of your hive, all the bees will be attracted up into the brood, and then after a few days, once you've furnished this and this has got enough bees in here, you know the queen's down the bottom, you can simply go underneath, lift this up underneath and just turn the excluder from excluding to shut, and then you now have a separate hive here, you've got a separate hive here. Then you open up the entrance, put your queen cells in. When that queen hatches, she knows that she's from this hive and she knows that she's from this hive. The other beauty is that the warmth from this hive, the parent hive, will come through and assist the nucs in developing. Now should one of the queens fail, it's as simple as opening up the bottom and letting the nurse bees come back through again, putting another frame of brood and going through it. Once you've finished and you've got your bees up and running and you've got the 2 queens mated, then you simply lift this off, close the excluders, and you're away. The main reason I love these Nuc boxes is because it's not only, they're not just Nuc boxes for me. What they are is they're an assurance. So when I'm making new hives up, I know that extra 5 minutes I'm spending making a nuc up and putting the queen in and then putting a new queen into the parent hive, I now have an insurance policy that I can overwinter and take through to the next season. And if the new queen doesn't mate, then during that period I can take her and put her back into that hive again. So it's a brilliant form of insurance, and it's a brilliant form of extra income if you need it. The other reason I love these is because when you take these up to a hive and you're taking your 5 frames of foundation into the hive when you're taking the brood out, you're also cleaning that, you're doing the hive regeneration of taking the old frames out and putting the new frames in, and you're also inadvertently taking the varroa level of the parent hive down by putting the capped brood into this, taking it away, and then you can treat that straight away because it's already got a queen in. It doesn't matter about having the strip in there for requeening. So they're absolutely brilliant for operation of your hive business, and a brilliant way to increase hives very quickly. Now for the Australian customers out there, we've actually designed this in conjunction with the Australian beekeeping community, and one of the things they wanted was a lot of room around the sides of the frames, and so the bees can corral the small hive beetle and get rid of it and make sure it doesn't stay in here. So we've given, that's the other advantage of making it slightly bigger. Of course in New Zealand we don't have to worry about that just yet. Now these boxes are made of 100% recyclable material and made from recycled material, so from an environmental perspective they're very green. When you're using these nucs and you are loading them up on the back of your ute, one of the things you really need are angles or corners just to strap on the sides there when you're strapping them, and it just ensures that the box, when you're putting a strap across, it doesn't crush the box, because they are only plastic, they're not super material. Right, just want to talk to you quickly about overwintering in the nuc boxes. Personally, I've been doing this for the last few years, and I've been overwintering about 200-300 hives, and I've had no issues whatsoever. The only thing I will say is that they consume food quite quickly, and you do need to keep an eye on how much food stores they have. One of the ways I've got to slow down food usage is by putting some foam or insulation across the roof. We have seam sealed this, which has increased its insulation properties somewhat, but the foam on top really does go another step to reduce the food usage. All I do is I get some spray-on adhesive, put that onto this here, or you buy adhesive foam, backed foam, which is very cheap, and stick it to the top. And what it does is it stops the roof condensating, because you've obviously got very cold temperatures outside over winter, and then you've got a thin insulator, and then you've got the warm, moist air from the hive, and it will condensate across the roof, and it will create potentially good conditions for Nosema. So you remove that risk by just putting some insulation on top. And I can honestly put my hand on my heart and say these overwinter absolutely perfectly, and I've been doing it for a number of years and it's no problem whatsoever. Thanks.